Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're listening from in the world. My name is Jacqueline Dixon, and you're tuned in to the Ordinary People Show. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And we're broadcasting live from Toronto, Canada, powered by GBKM TV. And we're broadcasting from the fantastic studios of GBKM in the T-Dot on what? The very first day of spring. Welcome to spring, ladies and gentlemen. The sun is bursting. We've even got some heat that's pumping into the city here today. And the patios, guess what? They're open today. So enjoy your first day of spring. You so deserve it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a fantastic show for you today. For those of you who follow me on social media, you know what it's all about. And I'm going to get right into it today. I'm not going to lose any time talking about anything that is not absolutely relevant, because I've gotten the text messages and I've gotten the inboxes on the topic of discussion today. So it seems to be of interest to quite a few people. And I'm glad that that's the case, because I've got two ladies waiting in the wings. They're going to blow this conversation right up. But before we do that, of course, let's start off with our pleasantries, as I always do. First of all, I want to thank our sponsors for giving us the opportunity to be on air today. Our sponsor is New Era Communications. New Era Communications is a professional speaking platform that provides sales training for up-and-coming sales professionals and entrepreneurs. Is your company lacking the revenue that needs to be generated on a regular basis? Are you looking for sustainable income? Well, maybe you need to be introduced to the sales process by professionals with New Era Communications. Contact neweraCommunications.ca for more information. Also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, GBKM is excited to introduce the fact that we have a brand new app. And we are migrating over to our brand new platform. For those of you who haven't noticed, we can now be found on www.gbkm.tv. That is our brand new website, interactive website. It will blow your mind. Go on over there and visit us. And while you're there, don't forget to download the app. That way you can take the Ordinary People Show everywhere you go. Be notified whenever the Ordinary People Show or any other of our great shows goes live. We have various different shows that go live throughout the full course of the week. And don't forget our radio. We are a 24-hour web radio that provides the best in R&B, soca, reggae, Afro beats, and so much more. Download the app at www.gbkm.tv and take us everywhere you go. I want to also tell you about an upcoming event, ladies and gentlemen. I wasn't here last week. I missed you guys so much. And we have upcoming events that are coming with GBKM, as well as some brand new shows that are coming your way. And mum's the word. I've been sealed. My lips are sealed, and I've been sworn to secrecy. I cannot tell you about the blockbuster shows that are in the makes right now for GBKM. You're just going to have to stay tuned each and every single week to find out what's coming, but trust me, you will not be disappointed. And before we go to our first commercial break, I want to let you know that GBKM is also going to be starting our Spring Bling contest. So we have contests that are going to be starting up, cash prizes, some clothing, some apparel, GBKM apparel, hoodies, t-shirts, and all the rest. Stay tuned to gbkm.tv on a daily basis to find out the various different ways that you can subscribe and put yourself in line to potentially win some of our apparel or maybe some cash prize as well. Now, we're getting ready to take our first commercial break, and once again, I just want to thank you for tuning into the Ordinary People Show today. I'm going to be right back after this first commercial break with my two guests that are waiting in the wings. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
You can officially download our free GBKM app from the App Store and the Google Play Store, okay? Now, what is the best thing about this app? Well, it is that you have all of the features from the website that is portable, in your hand, ready to use and ready to go. Now, I'm just gonna guide you through what we have available on our app right now. So here, this is the page where you can watch our live TV, our GBCam TV. You can watch live, enjoy the shows live. Now, if you go to our tabs, you can check out any shows you missed in the past shows tab, and that takes you to the past shows that have happened in the last week. And if you just scroll down, you can see those past shows in order, chronological order, with their dates next to them as well. So if you've missed a show, no worries, just go to the past show tab and you can catch up on your favorite GBKM entertainment. Going back to our menus tab again, you can check out our upcoming shows so you do not miss any past shows. You can check out our breaking news section, which is our newest section as well, to learn of any breaking news within the diaspora, across the globe, all of that good stuff, so you can stay engaged and up to date on what's going on with our breaking news tab on the GBKM app, and also available on the website. And as you can see, there are other tabs there. You can listen to our live radio, our live TV. You can learn more about our on-air personalities by going to our OAP tab.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ordinary People Show. My name is Jacqueline Dixon. I'm your host. Excited to be in studio this morning with a fantastic interview that is coming your way. For those of you who follow me on social media, you will have seen the post. You've probably noticed some controversial statements and posts that are going around on social media right now, and they're all tied into something, a blockbuster interview that took place just over a week ago. And that interview was held with none other than one of the biggest icons that we've ever had within the Black community, none other than the Queen herself, Miss Oprah Winfrey, and two very, in my personal opinion, very vulnerable guests. And that was Prince Harry Windsor and his wife, which is Meghan Markle. And that interview took place, and boy, has there been a hailstorm since that interview took place. I want you to sit tight. If that's what you tuned in to hear about, you will hear all kinds of conversation about that topic later on in the show. But before we get into that conversation, which is a segue, there are some other topics of conversation that will lead up to that. And this is what we want to start today's show with, or today's episode with. The topics of conversation that lead to that big conclusion at the end, which is colorism and the consequences of colorism on our mental health and society on a whole. Now, I want to introduce to you my very first guest, who is waiting in the wings. And she is, I can say that she's not just, she's a friend. It's really cool to be able to say that. She is a friend of mine and a person that I've gotten to know very well over the last year and a bit. And I have the most admiration for her work ethics, her attitude, her demeanor, and it is a complete joy for me to see every time when I open up my social media to see this woman just blowing up social media in a very, very good way. And that's what you want to look forward to when you see your sister advancing in life. You just want to be on that team as a cheerleader cheering on, and that's how I feel about none other than the Black Island girl herself, which is Jael Joseph. So I want to welcome Jael to the Ordinary People Show today. Good afternoon, Jael. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Jacqueline. How are you?
I'm really well. I'm really well. You're looking islandy this morning, though.
Girl, let me tell you. Don't let me stop.
So for those of you who don't know yet about the Black Island girl, let me give you some insight. I'm going to give you a little bit of background, but Jael will fill it in for the most part. Jael is the first Black student at Ryerson to be awarded the Full Haber Communications Award, which is presented to a female student who has demonstrated focus and aspirations to become a senior leader in communications. She hopes to impact the Canadian and global media space through her journalistic work. She's also created this platform called Black Island Girl that everyone is just falling in love with, okay? This is a platform to explore issues that affect Caribbean women of African descent that has been launched. Black Island Girl is the latest media creation of this Dominican Canadian Jail Joseph, a media personality, influencer, content creator, and journalism student.
Thank you.
Hey!
I love how you corrected yourself with the Dominican.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember how I schooled you on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know how serious that is. Trust me. Jail,
Good to
again, once
hear.
again, welcome to the Ordinary People Show. I want to get right into this Black Island Girl. Tell me about this exotic website, the content, and what stimulated you to even create this website and the content that is contained with that.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, Jacqueline. I am coming to the end of my degree at Ryerson University. And like most journalism students, when you get to the end, you have to present a capstone project. Your is like a culmination of everything that you've done throughout the last couple of years. And you could focus on whatever multimedia aspects that you choose. So you could choose to go the written in terms of print, writing. You could collaborate, like there's one with McLean's, that's the obituaries. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So you could do that. You could do something in terms of a podcast. You could do a feature write-up. You could do an academic piece or a journalistic piece. I chose to do what I wanted to do. Well, actually, I didn't. I was like, can I do this? You know, I reached out to my instructors, and I was like, this is what it's been at the back of my mind. It's something that I want to explore. There are many sides to it. And I really had to kind of state my case and why I wanted to do something like this with a journalistic twist to it. I wanted to not only do one project, but I wanted to merge two projects together because my first love, as you know, Jacqueline, is radio, love radio. So I wanted to marry radio with my newfound love of writing, which is feature writing. And I decided that I was going to put this project together. I have unfortunately, never really seen myself much, with the exception of you and just a very few people. But when I say mainstream media in Canada, I don't see myself. I don't hear myself. You know, and for people who have existed in Canada for years, for decades, to have the knowledge that yeah, we're in a diverse community where there's inclusion, but when I turn on the radio, I hear a Canadian accent. I don't hear a Caribbean accent. I don't hear an Asian accent. I don't hear an Indian accent. I just hear a Canadian accent, right? And I felt like it still stemmed from wanting us to assimilate. For me, like I say all the time, I code switch. So one time I will go and I'll start sounding like a Dominican. I'll start sounding probably like a Trini. I'll probably sound like a Jamaican. But it's all part of being a Caribbean woman for me, right? Yeah. And I love the fact that Canada allows us to still enjoy our culture, but it almost seems like you need to enjoy your culture and hush your mouth, right? Yeah. So I wanted to be expressive and explosive and create this platform where I could showcase be it Canadian immigrant women, be it women in the Caribbean, be it women in the UK. Once you identify as an island girl, I wanted to create a space for you because there's so many issues that we Caribbean island women have that are very similar to our sisters in Canada, but the way that we deal with it is so different than how the Americans, the American Black woman would deal with it. And I wanted to showcase that so that we could share with each other as we look for ways that we can bridge the gap. Because one of the things that I realized, even during the Black Lives Matter movement, there was not too many Caribbean people on the forefront with the movement. It seemed very much more like a North American Black people kind of a thing, right? And even to speak of racism as a Black person in Canada, I had to reprogram my mind to recognize racism because I was born in the Caribbean where I saw people who looked just like me in positions of power. So for me, moving to Canada, it was like, if a white person was nasty to me, oh, she just having a bad day. Like I never saw it as racism, as what it
Yeah.
actually is, because that's not what I was brought up to. I was not brought up to think that that you're gonna look down on me just because of my color of my skin, or you're gonna think less of me. I remember working as a cosmetic manager for Shopper's Drama, which was one of the jobs that I did, and a woman saying to me, you're too dark. You will not be able to understand how to what foundation I wear. And I'm like, why does that not have? Now I look back at it, and I'm like, what does that have to
Yeah.
do with whether or not I can figure out your foundation? The color of my skin has nothing to do with that. So
Yeah.
Black Island Girl would feature women and women our issues, island women's issues, and the podcast would be an extension of the article. So the feature article would include academic sources such as like in my first article, which is how black hair and how natural black hair empowers Black Island women. I included, Dr. Donna Maria Maynard, who is a psychology
Oh, yeah.
professor at the University of the West Indies in Barbados, because I felt I needed to give it that island, you know. And
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
also lived in England, so she had that perspective to bring to the story. And of course, I found her through research. I just went in her DMs. I was like, "Yo, I need to talk to you. You need to be featured on my in my article." And the women that I feature are women that I've known. One of for like know when I say no, like I know who they are, and I've seen them,
Yeah.
doing things, in on social media. And when I saw the kind of work that these women put in, and how they're able to empower themselves with their natural hair, and and the racism that is attached, even in the Caribbean, like we still see that
Oh,
happening, where we're looked down on if you wear natural hair. It's not considered professional. I mean, just do your basic. In the article, I employ people, do a basic search of professional
for sure.
hairstyles, or then do a basic search of unprofessional hairstyles. And
Yeah.
the search of unprofessional hairstyle is mostly of Black women,
Yeah.
So, Jill,
right?
let me just jump in there real quick. So, I totally get everything that you're saying, and I can relate to everything that you're saying because at the core of it, I'm an island girl too. And yes, I do agree with you that where that whole Black Lives Matter movement is concerned, where did women fit into all of that? It did seem like a North American thing, right? You didn't really feel any sort of connection to it from a Caribbean perspective. So we all kind of cloaked ourselves in the North American with that North American outlook and attitude towards that whole movement. But there are so many similarities to what North American women go through and a Caribbean woman actually goes through as well. There are so many similarities, but there are so many differences. Like
Exactly.
in your particular case, coming here to Canada from the Caribbean, there had to be one thing that was noticeably different about you versus the next woman of color, but a Canadian one. What was the most noticeable thing, of course?
My accent.
Your accent. Exactly.
my accent my
Exactly.
accent was it. I spent a lot of time even training myself to talk like this, and now I cannot even get out of it. Like even talking to my regular Dominican people, I tend to do it, but then I still switch. So I've just kind of like taken on this code switching thing where I switch back and forth. But it was very difficult for me to actually. I remember, people stopping me when I said park, or I said pack for parking. And I said, there's simple words, like people would actually stop, and say, "Do you mean?" And I'm like, "Yo, it's the same thing. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, why are you making this a problem? Why are you shedding light?" I mean, years later now, I've learned to embrace it, and I'm still learning to love my accent, and love the fact that I could code switch, and love the fact that I could speak another language, and love the fact that I could, just go off with a Dominican person and they'd never know I lived a day in Canada, or go off with a Canadian person and some of them do say, you know, I love your accent. Your accent's kind of different. You sound Canadian, but a different kind of Canadian. And I'm like, well, that's what being a Canadian is all about. It's all of these different. We're all different people. We're not the same, so we're not supposed to sound the same. You know, we're supposed to encourage people. And I've always had an issue when people, you know, even I've seen it happen with, you know, foreign professors where students say, oh, I don't understand them. Well, open your ear. Like, they speak in English, you know, like, listen to them, you know, give people a chance, because you've given them a chance to live in a country where everybody is supposed to be free and everybody's supposed to, you know, live comfortably. It's a land of many opportunities. Yet still you pressing somebody because of their accent, you know, like you say, oh, they don't sound like they speak English. Like, what I'm saying is English. I just have an accent, you know. That's the only difference.
So, Jill, tell us about the Faber Communications Award. I know Ryerson is a very prestigious school, and for those interested in going into the field of journalism, that's got to be your first thought. That's got to be, you know, in your thought process, like, as to where am I going to get my education. Ryerson's got to come in number one or two. So the
Especially
fact
with
that you
journalism.
got into Ryerson as an island girl, and then you not only got into Ryerson, but then you walk away as the very first black student to win this Faber Communications Award. Tell us a little bit about this award.
Well, this award, first of all, getting into Ryerson is, like you said, it is a prestigious school, where, especially where journalism is concerned. You hear some of the bigger journalists come out of Ryerson in Canada. You know, they're products of, like, people that I follow and love. You know, they've gone to Ryerson. We have people like Eternity Marcus, who's like a writer, who's a number one writer, who did her master's
Marcy Ian went
in
to
journalism.
Ryerson as
They
well. Marcy,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So we have there are a lot of great people who come out of Ryerson. This Faber Award is, I don't know if you're familiar with Faber Communications. It's a PR firm, and they do PR for a lot of establishments, including Genesis, and I think this Cannabis Inc. and a few organizations. I can't think right off the top of my head some of the organizations that they do PR work for, but they have this scholarship that they offer to students, female students, who've demonstrated, like you said, you know, aspirations in being a senior leader in communications. And I was reluctant to apply as a Black Island girl. I was like, they ain't gonna give this to me. Like, like, who am I? You know, I'm not gonna get this. And so it's something that you apply for. And I applied after they made the second call for people to apply. You know, like, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply. And I think my work did a lot of the talking. It was just, you know, if some people might say, oh, because of all of the movement, they wanted to, because I've been told that, you know, and I'm like, yo, you need to watch my work too. Like, I put in the work, right? And I have done a lot of research. I have shows, as you know, Jackie. I have my online video cast. I've been doing stuff, you know. I've not even through school, you know. And it was just an honor receiving that award, and that came with a cash contribution as well. And I literally took that cash contribution and reinvested it in Black Island Girl. I was like, yo, I am buying that.
How quickly did you buy a ticket back to Dominica? How quick? Because I know you like to jet out.
Girl, let me tell you. But it really was for me all about setting up something. I love when I receive prizes, or when I receive donations for things that I've done. Most of the time I give it back. You know, they tell you don't give your gifts away. You know, there's this island thing. You're not supposed to give your gifts away when people give you gifts. I feel like when people give you something, if you can use part of it to touch somebody else's life, then you should.
Yeah, right? I agree.
And I decided to take my winnings, part of my winnings, from the award to invest it in Black Island, because you've got to purchase the domain name. You also have to purchase a lot. There's a lot of things that go on with building a site and all of that. So I got podcast equipment. I really went all
Good for
out
you.
in
Good for
terms
you.
of setting up for exactly that. And I'm grateful to them, for bestowing that award on me, and not just doing it, but they also did a nice write-up on their website
Yeah.
on me.
I'm
I
so
was like,
proud of you. So proud of you.
I added some color on that website.
Yes.
Like, let me tell you.
So Jael, listen, I want you to hold right there because we're gonna hear more about the Black Island girl, but I want to take a very quick 30-second commercial break. We're going to be right back with our next guest. We're going to introduce to join the conversation, which oh my God, talk about a wealth of knowledge. Is for those of you who follow me on social media, you know who's waiting in the wings. It's Kimberly Cato. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Kimberly right this quick 30-second break, and we're going to pick up the Island Girl conversation, and we're going to segue into the next topic of discussion, which is colorism and the impact on our mental health.
GBKM TV, the station with a vision. GBKM TV, the station with a difference now. Slim Flex said so. Big up Ghana. Up.
Thank you so much for tuning in today, ladies and gentlemen. And we're back with, of course, none other than the Island Girl herself, Jael Joseph, who's been talking about her brand new website and, of course, her award being the first Black person to win the FABA Communications Award by Ryerson University. And as an Island Girl, I can relate to a lot of things that Jael is saying, especially when it comes to not recognizing racism when you are from a community where everybody is, pretty well looks just like you. You don't recognize racism for what it is. But when you migrate to another country where the majority of the population does not look like you, what is your experience like? And I think that Jael has documented that really, really nicely in her website, Black Island Girl. For those of you who are interested, please check it out. She'll be back, of course, on the show later to explain how to do that and how to start following her as well. Ladies and gentlemen, right now I want to introduce to you my next panel guest, which is a lady that I admire so much. Her knowledge is just beyond. She's a psychotherapist, and her name is Kimberly Cato. And I just want to welcome her to the Ordinary People Show. Welcome to the Ordinary People Show, Kimberly.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm very
It's
well.
lovely
Thank
to
you
be
so much
here.
for being patient and waiting in the wings. Now we're going to bring this conversation to fruition. And I just want to give the listeners a little bit of background on you. As a registered psychotherapist, founder and CEO of True Roots Counseling Services, for more than 25 years, Kimberly Cato is passionate about coming alongside people blindsided and overwhelmed by life-altering and empowering them with the necessary support and strategies to transform their trauma into triumph. I love that. I love that. Kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Thank you so much.
Trauma
Thank you
into
so much.
triumph. Well, where do we start? We heard Jael talk about her experience coming to Canada and the fact that her accent was the most noticeable thing that was recognized when she arrived here. But there's also something else that is noticeable, and that is the complexion of her skin too. That is clearly visible. And with all that has been happening recently in social media, especially related to the Harry Meghan interview, I think to the forefront the importance and significance of the term called colorism and what role it plays in society and on our mental health. So for those individuals who are not familiar with the term colorism, I just want to enlighten them before we start our conversation. So, how skin color bias narrows beauty standards? Colorism has long been linked to restrictive beauty standards. Those who embrace colorism not only tend to value lighter skinned people over their darker skinned counterparts, but also view the former as more intelligent, noble, and attractive than darker complexioned people. Actress Lupita Nyong'o, Gabrielle Union, and Keke Palmer have all spoken about how they desired lighter skin growing up because they thought darker skin made them unattractive. This is especially telling given that all of these actresses are widely considered to be good looking, and Lupita Nyong'o earned the title of People's Magazine's Most Beautiful in 2014, rather than acknowledging that beauty can be found in people of all skin tones. Colorism narrows beauty standards by deeming only light skinned people as beautiful and everyone else as less than. Is there any truth to that, Kimberly?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you see it all the time. It really is, we were talking a little bit earlier about where colorism comes from. And it's really born out of racism. It's born out of the whole systemic colonial development and design of society in which we live. I think it really touches on what Jael was saying as well, in terms of when she came here. She grew up without having internalized any negative thought or thinking about her skin color. So when she's confronted by white people upon moving here, and who are displaying specifically racist behavior, she didn't identify it as racist because she hadn't internalized any of the negativity that they would be pointing toward her. And so her response to that could easily be, oh, this person's having a bad day or something's wrong with them, not recognizing that they are actually functioning in a system that is in fact trying to change her. And so I think with colorism, one of the things that I note most with colorism is that it really is an internalized response to the oppression that people of color have always had to endure. And so when we note that if there is a person of color who is exalted or given a position of power or what have you, their complexion is usually lighter.
Right.
The oppressor will hire the one who looks as close to similar to them, and far more so and far sooner before the dark-skinned person.
Thank you.
But
Can we
really
just
truly-
hold right
Yeah.
there for, because that was so powerful what you just said. Jael, can we get Jael back up on the screen, please? Okay, I want you to take a look at my beautiful friend Jael. Okay? Yes, she is all that and a bag of chips, trust me. But Jael is also of a certain complexion. Jael also looks a certain way. And I'm wondering to myself, being the first Black person at Ryerson to win this particular award, how much of it is timing, meaning Black Lives Matter movement, how much of it is social pressure, how much of it is colorism, how much of it, and how much of it, yes, is skill and merit. Could colorism have possibly played a role in them selecting this Black female over another Black female? Is that possible, Kimberly?
All things are possible when you're talking about oppression and deception. All things are possible. I'm holding for Jael the fact that she was selected on merit and the work that she does. But I'm not lost to the fact that we live within a system that grades responses based on color. And particularly over this last year, we have the system, we have those in power who really do not want to relinquish any of that power, making all sorts of adjustments to accommodate and hush those who are actually making noise now. And to that, I say, carry on with your foolish selves, but we are still coming for the power that you're trying to hold. Like, that's just the new reality. And you will come to know that. But yes, I'm sure there are many reasons that Jael was selected. But the truth of the matter is, she was worthy of that reward. And by virtue of her work, by virtue of her intention, and it has nothing to do with the color of her skin.
Okay.
They may think so, but that's not the truth of the matter.
And this is why these controversial topics need to be discussed at the forefront, and they need to be discussed by us. We need to own the conversation first before other people start to own it, and then they become the narrator of that discussion. We need to do it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I guarantee you that Jael earned that by merit, because I've seen her writing. I had no idea she could write like that. I knew she did radio, seriously, and I knew she was really good at that. I thought that was her strength. And then one day I ran into a piece that she wrote, damn, this girl can write. And yes, but let's be honest, between us three ladies, we have a problem within our own community as well, because we're gonna segue into how the outside world has used colorism against us, but we have also used colorism against us. And here's why I'm saying that. Because colorism in the African American community, led by light-skinned Black Americans treating their darker counterparts in the same discriminatory fashion as white people have treated people of color generally, dark-skinned Black Americans could be denied the chance to join certain civic groups and clubs and sororities in their schools by other Blacks.
Yes.
Do we have a problem within our own community with colorism?
Absolutely. But we can't lie and pretend that problem was not born from the oppressor's design. Divide and conquer is, in fact, the way to maintain power. That is the way. We will divide you. We will make sure that you don't talk amongst yourself. We'll make sure that we feed you jealousy one to another so that we can continually dominate you. And that's the structure in which we live. But yes, we do favor and we do exalt people who are fair-skinned within our own community. And that's a problem that we actually need to own and address. But it is really genuinely born out of internalized racism. That's where it comes from.
That is so true.
Thank you. Jael, can you comment on that?
That is so very, very true. I mean, like, even though I was raised in the Caribbean, and I know what it is, what colorism is. I mean, the whole term colorism is not even in the dictionary. It was penned by Alice Walker, and we use it. We've Americanized it, we've Englishized it, and it's not in the dictionary. But a lot of us, growing up, I remember, my sisters are lighter skinned than me. And although I am technically, they call me caramel, I'm caramel skin or toffee, I was still called, not by many people, but the random person would call me the black sheep. Oh, you're the black sheep. Oh, your eyes would be so much nicer if your eyes were the color of your sister. Or you have bad hair. So-and-so has the good hair, and that is all in a way of, we've upheld this colonial theory that to be a person of color, to be black is not good. Like we're not, first of all, they call us black, meaning that if it's not white, it's black, far extreme, right? And now they've conditioned our minds into believing that even though we can live in the Caribbean, where a lot of us come from, we can live as regular people without quote unquote racism. But now you have to ensure that the color closest to us is upheld in society, right? So, and exactly what Kimberly was saying, like the lighter skinned person would get that position. The lighter skinned person is better than that person, that other person. The lighter skin has better hair, and they literally say to you, as a dark skin girl, you have bad hair. Your hair's so bad. You get that when you go to the hairdressers, even among your own hairdressers. Your hair need an extra perm. You need, you have too much nutty boys. Like you hear all of it, I remember, as a young girl having to hot iron my hair because I wanted my hair to be straight, and there's this thing, even among our boys, they tell you our boys supposed to be groomed a certain way. If your hair, I remember as a kid growing up, I witnessed principals passing with a pencil in your scalp, and if the pencil couldn't pass through, you had to cut your hair because you were not properly groomed, right? That was what being groomed was all about, right? And today you see black guys wearing their hair big and their afro big. In the Caribbean, we still have a system whereby children are not allowed to go to school. Black boys are not allowed to go to school with their hair a certain length. So we still have the issue. I mean, if you go back to my article, we have recently in Jamaica, the Supreme Court there banned and said it was okay for a school to stop a little girl from going to school with locks, like had locks on her hair, right? It's like
and this is so very true. And Kimberly, this is where I'm going to take it to the next level now. And I'm going to say that it's one thing for our colonial oppressors to use this argument and this philosophy against us. But it's a whole other situation, it's a whole other argument when we use it against us. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Absolutely.
When we start to use it against us, this is where the divide and conquer opportunity it creates itself for the am I right here? For them to be able to see that there is a weak link here, there's an opportunity for us to come in and tear this community apart by using this very very sensitive, very, very real topic against them. Hi, Kim. Oh, I think we lost.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry for a second there. My sound kind of cut out.
Yeah.
I missed a little bit about what you're saying, but I'll sort of pick up from what I understand, where I understand you were going, because when we internalize within our communities language and behavior of the oppressor, and then we actually begin to attack one another about the color of our skin and our abilities and intelligence and even good hair, bad hair in comparison. What that actually ends up doing, it's so much more harmful than just the harm inflicted by the oppressor, because then you, as an individual, your identity begins to shift. You're not owned by the one in the community, in the environment in which you live. You can't identify with them. You can't identify with your kin because they keep saying things about you that have you looking down on yourself. And so your identity becomes negative. You can't, I mean, we're born into the world wanting to belong. And if you can't belong to this one here because their skin is, they keep saying you are other than them, and then you can't belong to the ones whose skin color is the same as yours, maybe lighter or dark. Well, then who do you belong to? And so you find that people have internalized this racism and internalized the notions of inferiority as a result of the oppression externally from the community and internally within their own community. And so inside themselves, there's an ongoing detrimental battle. And so you're warring not just against the oppressor, but you're actually warring internally against your own self. The impact of walking in front of a mirror and standing in front of a mirror and looking at yourself and not loving yourself really leaves people to do horrible things. Number one, it does bring in the mental illness. It does bring in and open the door for all these behaviors and thoughts that really don't help a person succeed or find their own sense of power. They can't identify. And even beyond just not being able to identify, they literally actually look in the mirror themselves, hate their hair, hate their skin, hate everything. And those are the places, from that place, you've got nowhere to go but down. You've got nowhere to go but down.
Thank you so much for that.
It's just horrible, the internalization of this.
I want to share something with you girls, okay? So I was talking with a very good associate of mine who gave me a totally different perspective, light skin, dark skin conversation. And I've never looked at it, and ever since that conversation, I've never looked at it the same way again. He said that when slavery begun in the US, there were what you'd call house ends, right? And the field ends, right? Yeah. I say N for, because I'm not saying it on GBKM, because we own this here on GBKM, okay?
That's right.
So the house ends, right, were of fairer complexion. They were the fair-skinned ones that were allowed to work in the household of the master. Okay, and it was looked at as a privilege. That's when it kind of started with this, getting better opportunities and better jobs. Started when a house slave, brown skin house slave, was looked at as a better job than a field slave. Both slaves, both owned by a master, but one was considered a better position than the other. Then he said, and then to add to that, he says, Jacqueline, get this. In those days, a fair-skinned slave was ostracized. They were ostracized. They didn't want them around. And the reason they didn't want them around is because a fair-skinned slave represented a child of a rape victim. If you were a fair-skinned slave, you were an obvious product of rape.
Yeah.
So that has, and come down over the years, so that, you got to understand where that fair skin comes from. It comes from a result of your foremothers being raped.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So now all of a sudden they've turned it around and made it seem like it's a good thing to be fair-skinned, to the extent where the industry, the bleaching industry, is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's not just blacks. In all honesty, Asians are even worse.
Yeah.
Asians coming out of India and all those, it's even worse. They bleach them from babies. They literally bleach them as babies. So I'm bringing this to your attention only because sometimes we wonder why, and we don't look at how, how it started. Yeah. And I'm bringing that to your attention, and I'm interested to hear your take on it, ladies.
Jackie, I agree with you about the relationship between the house slaves and the the field slaves and how that would in turn, be retransmitted. A lot of us walk around here with trauma that we inherited from our ancestors. So in as much as we don't want to, we want to live our best life, we still dealing with the trauma plus all of the trauma that we face daily. I mean, like even driving in Canada for me is like I make sure I'm always watching the speedometer because I don't want to get pulled over by a cop. Because I feel like if I get up, I'll get shot. Granted, it has never happened to me, but it's like you still have the fear, right? You still have the fear, and then the flip side of it is that staying along the lines of colorism, the flip side is that you grow up in a family where you might be lighter skin, and your parents, you hear your parents say, "You're lighter. You should ensure that you get to where you need to get because you can pass for white. You can pass. So go and do what you're supposed to do. Nobody's gonna know that you have a little bit of black in you. Your edges are flat. Go ahead and do what you need to do." So that happens today. It continuously happens where if it's happening on the outside, where the outside's making you feel some type of way. But it doesn't just happen on the outside, it happens on the inside.
Yes, and that's my problem. That's my problem. We're using it against ourselves, right?
Yes.
We're using it against ourselves.
Yes.
And this is a great segue now to the big conversation, finale conversation, which is the Harry and Meghan interview, and the role colorism played in some of the discussions that, in my opinion, with Meghan, how colorism found its way into that discussion and how she reacted to it, and of course, my friend Piers Morgan. We're going to take a quick 30-second break. We're going to be right back to talk about the Harry and Meghan interview with my two awesome guests, the Black Island girl herself, Jael Joseph, and psychotherapist Kimberly Cato. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
You can officially download our free GBKM app from the App Store and the Google Play Store, okay? Now, what is the best thing about this app? Well, it is that you have all of the features from the website that is portable, in your hand, ready to use and ready to go. Now, I'm just gonna guide you through what we have available on our app right now. So here, this is the page where you can watch our live TV, our GBCam TV. You can watch live, enjoy the shows live. Now, if you go to our tabs, you can check out any shows you missed in the past shows tab, and that takes you to the past shows that have happened in the last week. And if you just scroll down, you can see those past shows in order, chronological order with their dates next to them as well. So if you've missed a show, no worries, just go to the past show tab and you can catch up on your favorite GBKM entertainment. Going back to our menus tab again, you can check out our upcoming shows so you do not miss any past shows. You can check out our breaking news section, which is our newest section as well, to learn of any breaking news within the diaspora, across the globe, all of that good stuff, so you can stay engaged and up to date on what's going on with our breaking news tab on the GBKM app, and also available on the website. And as you can see, there are other tabs there. You can listen to our live radio, our live TV. You can learn more about our on-air personalities by going to our OAP tab. All of that.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ordinary People Show. Thank you so much for joining us today, having a fabulous conversation on the topic of colorism with my guests, a Black Island girl, and Kimberly Cato. And right now we're segueing into our last topic of discussion. For those of you who've been hanging around for this particular conversation, it's about Harry and Meghan. I'm sure that unless you're living under a rock, you've heard about the interview, the infamous interview that took place with Oprah Winfrey and Harry Windsor and his lovely wife, Meghan Markle. And what took place during the course of that interview is what is exploding all over social media. And it's taking up a lot of oxygen in the room, because there were some very, very heated topics that were shared during the course of that interview. And I want to share that now. I want to discuss that now with my panel guests and get their take on it, because it's a conversation that I have found that many different people have various different viewpoints on. And I don't know that anybody owns the day here. I'm not so sure that anybody owns the day, but we're going to give it our best go, okay? And the most important thing is that we be open and honest about our personal opinions. And unlike Pierce, I promise you I will not walk off the set, all right? If I hear something that I don't like, I will not walk off the set, all right? So, here's why I believe that this is a great segue to the colorism conversation. During the course of the interview, Meghan and Oprah had a moment. There was a moment that took place where Meghan shared the fact that she was speaking with senior members of the royal family. And that's a big indicator, that's a big red flag right there, because that pinpoints exactly who the limited number of people it could possibly be, because the senior royals only consists of 6 people. You realize that, right? If you really know how the royal family breakdown protocol is, seniors are a total of 6 people. And it was a senior member of the royal family, but we know it was not what? The Queen and Prince Philip, so that takes out those 2. So there's only 4 other individuals that it could be, and I'm pretty sure I know who it was, but whatever. That conversation that took place with that senior member of the royal family involved that senior member being concerned about the color of the baby's skin when born. And this is when this is when the moment occurred when Oprah, oh my goodness, really? They asked that question?
Yeah.
Really, Oprah? I'm sorry. Okay? You tell me you weren't even thinking about what shade that baby was going to be? Because I sure was. I was wondering which side of the family that I was going to take from. Because you all know that in our backgrounds, you can have 4 girls, 4 boys. 2 of them will be light and 2 of them will be dark, or 3 of them. You know how it works with us. Okay? Because we've been infiltrated so many times, you don't know which grandparent is going to show up.
Yeah.
Okay? So when she said that, that was so shocking that somebody could say that, did you really feel for her when she said that? Kimberly, tell me honestly. Say your words.
It wasn't so much I think it was the combination, the way Meghan had delivered that news was that it was in relation to not getting a title, not having security, and the question of the complexion and the color of the unborn child's skin. And so it's like a triple whammy response. Like, not only is this child not or security, but also the color. So now the title and security is sort of connected with the color. And that was the aha moment to me. Not, although I can't, as I said earlier, I can't walk down this plank of, not even having an inkling that any reference to the color of the skin or blackness or would be in the royal castle. No, nobody would be saying. But I mean, come on now. It's a colonial institution. We know that there's all sorts of issues with color within the royal family. They won't even own Queen Charlotte, who they've got black blood running through them, but they won't own that or discuss that. So it's not shocking that they're not talking about or wanting to acknowledge or own the blackness that runs through the blood of their daughter-in-law and the new or new royal in the family. That piece is not shocking at all.
So
Or
you
shouldn't
you
it be.
you think that was a real concern for them, that this baby could maybe be darker than we would like? Do you think that was a real concern for them?
A concern in the sense of what? In the sense of
Like,
whether or
okay,
not,
so they were thinking, okay, she's gonna have a baby. What if the baby's complexion is more on the black side than the white side? Do you think that was a real concern for them? And therefore, they thought ahead and they said, we ain't gonna take no chances. He's not gonna get no title. He's not gonna get nothing, because you never know what's gonna pop out.
Jacqueline, I'm not even interested in whether or not it was a concern. I am more interested in how naive Meghan was coming into Buckingham Palace. I'm concerned as a Black woman,
Right.
and this whole mixed race thing, that a lot of us were okay, telling people it's okay to identify as whatever you want to identify as. But then when we're out in the open, what you see is what you're going to get.
Right.
Which is you're going to see a Black person and that's what you're going to get. And
That's
I'm
right.
concerned as to whether or not Meghan was raised, with at least the way I was raised, to understand as a Black woman your place in society, to
Yes.
understand as a Black woman the history of slavery and colonization
Yes.
that our forefathers endured, and to know that we are entitled to Buckingham Palace.
That's
Like
right.
it's not a matter of
JL,
whether
say
or
no
not-
more. I don't think you need to explain yourself. I think you laid the foundation very well. Say no more. Her naivety was a bit much.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, are you really buying that you did not know what family you were marrying into? You didn't know the protocols. You didn't understand the process. You didn't understand the whole hierarchy of things. Are you really buying into that? I'm having difficulty with Megan's story as well.
I don't know that I'm
to
having.
some extent, I don't deny what she's saying. What is
Exactly.
actually fact. Like, I'm not saying that she lied. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of truth to what she says. There's more reason to believe than to not believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I felt that she was not armed properly coming
Yes.
into that union.
But whose fault
And
is
if-
that? Whose fault is that?
Again, it goes back to your parentage, right? And how you were brought up. So I could possibly blame her mother, or I could blame her father, right? I could or we could play the blame game, and say it might have been her mother not really teaching her about how to be a Black woman in the world. It could also be her mother telling her, hey, you're light skinned, you can pass for white. It could also be her father not really instilling those qualities and saying, hey, your forefathers went through certain things as a mixed race black person, right? And you need to also understand that, because I know if Prince Harry had chosen me,
Hey,
my Black behind would be walking in there. And when they tell me my child is not going to get a title, I would have said, who? I would have kicked up storm. They would have seen exactly what the angry Black woman that they dub us. They would have seen exactly what time it was, because I know my history. I know my ancestral and their
Jail, you do not know what you're doing to my producer right now. You do not, my producer's dying, okay?
Well, I'm telling you, I know my history, right? I know what they did to the Caribbean. I know what and they're still doing, because we still have not received, we still are indebted to the UK, right? We still
Great job, guys. Great job.
We've not received repatriation. There's lots of stuff going on. So at the end of the day, we need to know our place. Our place, and her place was in the Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
She should have tore that place up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, no. They found, I don't know. But anyways, here's the thing also I'm a little bit concerned with. you know, different people have different viewpoints. Some people outright say she's just a gold digger. Okay, let's be honest. Some people said that. Some people said she didn't even know she was black until they told her she wasn't going to get the kid that wasn't going to get a title. She didn't. I suspect there are a number of different issues at play here, and some of them are what Jail is alluded to with the mother and the upbringing, not really recognizing truly that you're a black woman. And at some point, you're going to have to reckon with the fact that you're a black woman. Now, you've been able to go through life up until this point, passing and surpassing. But guess what? The buck stops here. You made it all the way to the palace, and you got told, right, that you're black. Okay? Now, sudden, you're offended. You should have been offended a gazillion years ago, but no offense was presented. Now offense presents itself to you, and you are taking it to the next level. Now, let's not, and I don't want anybody to start, oh, you're so mean. You know what? I don't want anybody to say, listen, I am not taking away from the fact that the mental health issues that she experienced are probably very, very real. Because hell knows, I'd be going through some mental health issues myself if I had to go through what she is currently going through. But that is kind of part and parcel with the naivety that she entered into that household with. Take it away, Kimberly.
It's kind of what we've been talking about all along, that you internalize the racism that you are dealt. And so her not owning her blackness and that theory, it still, for me, falls squarely on the hands of colonization and oppression and racism. How can she own that? How can she identify with that? How can she identify the blackness when it's the whiteness and the passing and the colorism that has moved her through society up to this point? That is a direct correlation to the way in which our oppressor has designed the system. She moved into the system and made it work for her. I ain't gonna fault nobody. I am not gonna fault a single person for doing that.
Good point.
I'm not gonna fault her for walking into the palace and calling her naive, and she needed to know and she needed to do. It would have been helpful if she knew, but I'm not gonna fault her for the fact that she didn't. I'm not gonna fault her for that. I am not gonna fault her for the fact that the system was designed to annihilate any one of us, whether we look clear and white passing or blackety black. It don't matter. They don't want any one of us. And so if it was Jael, if it was me, if it was and or Megan, they would have done what they did to her, they would have done to us. It don't matter. And the louder you speak and the more ruckus you make, trust me, the harder that thumb comes down upon your head. That girl was sitting in that house with no passport, no keys, no connection to the outside world. What do you do then? So I cannot and will not fault my sister, fair or not fair, I don't business. Now I'll be honest, before she connected with Prince, I didn't really pay her no mind. I didn't pay her no mind when she was in Suits, nothing.
I didn't even know that show existed.
Yeah. The minute she connected with Prince Harry, I was like, this girl is in trouble because she's walking right into the lion's den, all smiles and naivete, because she loves that man. There's no question about whether she loves that man.
Kim, can I just hold that thought for a minute? Yeah. You say she loved that man. But to love that man is more than just, don't you have to love everything that man comes with?
You gotta learn
Don't
it.
you
gotta
have to
learn
love it all? You have to love the fact that he's a part of an institution that operates in a certain fashion, and that your life has to change in order to be able to keep this marriage, maintain this marriage, and
Yeah.
nurture. You're going to have to make all of these compromises. So, did you really love the man?
How could you not? She made the compromises that she could be aware of. Even all those princesses, even Princess, when she walked into that palace, there's no preparation for that. It doesn't matter what you Google. You will not know what's going on in there until you're in there.
Okay.
So this fool's notion
Okay.
that she could have researched and understood, there's no way. They will not allow what's
Okay.
going on inside to come out.
Okay.
Only right now, little bits of information are coming out. But even that is under lock and key. We don't know what goes on in there.
Argument.
You
That's
know,
a fair
what was
argument.
funny for me? What was funny for me?
And
Jackie,
you know, I suspect
how-
also, Jill, just to be before I suspect also that Harry didn't tell her the full story. Because if he told her the full story, she'd have hightailed it.
Yo,
Maybe.
I found it so weird how they kept referring to the institution. And I
Yeah.
was like, the institute, it sounded like this huge cult, like, and then
Yeah.
she said, you know, the grandmother, I love the grandmother. We had a great relationship. We had great
Yeah.
interaction, but the institution and that person within the institution, and I'm there sitting there, I'm like, yo, was that same institution that was there back in the 1500s? Was that institution that she's referring to? You know,
You know it, yes.
Is the monarch just like a figurine, you know, like, and
Oh,
it's
yes.
this institution that controls everything, you know, like, what exactly are we as Canadians, as we're a Commonwealth country, you know? What exactly are we into, you know, that we don't know, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like that institution that says, you know, you cannot do certain things, we don't want a like a dark skinned baby or whatever the institution, they didn't want to give them security to come to Canada, even knowing that they wanted to stay within the Commonwealth and take a lower position just to work within, you know, just to not be considered upfront, right? They didn't want to give them security. They didn't want. I strongly believe a lot of it was because of her color of her skin, right?
Okay.
A lot of it was because of the color of her skin, and that's it.
Okay, I'm gonna. You know what? I'm so glad you shared that, and you know we're gonna be wrapping up now. But I just wanted to bring two points up. I'm not so sure it was because of the color of her skin. You know, not buying that story. For whatever reason, I'm just not buying it. But I will say this much. Here's where my biggest disappointment is with Meghan. My biggest disappointment is not in the fact that her parents shielded her from the fact that she was black from the get-go, right? The fact that she was able to use her colorism to get all of even the Suits show. Colorism got her that role on Suits. You realize that, right? Colorism. So
Well, I don't know if we can say that for a fact
Well,
without a
yeah.
doubt.
Be-
I would not say that.
Rachel didn't
take
even
away
have
from
an ethnicity on Rachel didn't even have an ethnicity on Suits until the very, the episodes well into a number of the what do you call them? Series.
Well, they had
right?
they had to build her character,
Her
because remember
character.
she just started as just a little intern,
Yeah.
on the show.
She
was
built
not
that role.
She didn't have, so she built that role, and I feel like
Yeah.
Rachel built her role. They brought in Zayn, who was her dad, a black
Yeah.
man, a very black man,
Very black man. Yeah.
I think we probably saw the entire running of the show. We might have seen the person who played her mom once or twice, if even
Yeah.
that. You
Yeah.
know, so I would not agree with you, Jacqueline, that
No,
she would not
yeah.
build on that.
Yeah.
And I feel like they could have picked they could have picked a white, light-skinned
Yeah.
black man to play her dad, and
Exactly.
they picked a big
A black, yeah.
man to play
Okay,
her dad. So
okay,
I
fair.
would not agree with you on that.
Well, what do you
No,
ladies
yeah.
what do you ladies have to say about this? I don't believe in backing down from any fight. If I feel I stand my ground. If I feel that I'm standing on something which is principle, because I always look at it from that, what's the principle that I'm standing on? And if I feel
Yeah.
that that principle needs to be upheld, then I will stand my ground. So here's where I fault her. She should have never left. If she wanted to make changes, if she wanted to be the influencer that she claims that she wants to be or is, she should have influenced from within. She would have had more power to influence changes within that institution if she remained in it than to walk away.
I
That's
would never agree with you there. And the reason I cannot is
okay.
because she left for her mental health. You need to make radical change when you want to preserve your mental health and preserve the health of your children. This is not a matter of, I'm going to take down no system. I'm going to do not. No, listen, doing this fight and fighting against depression, it will genuinely cost you your life. And you need to count that cost before you step into that fight. My girl was losing her mind. She was suicidal. She needed safety. Safety could not be found in that palace. She needed to get the hell out of there.
Okay,
and
that's
fast.
Okay,
And
fair
fast.
argument. Fair.
I agree. I agree with
Fair.
Kimberly. She had to get
That's
out.
fair.
She had
Mental
to-
health.
Absolutely.
Mental
And I
health draws
felt-
the line. Draws the
and I
line.
felt
It does.
Her interview with Oprah sealed the
Yeah.
deal.
Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
sealed the deal.
It
Mental health
did.
draws the line.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, girls, listen. We can have this topic. We can talk on this topic for days on end. It's way bigger than the time that we've allotted for it. But whatever time we have spent chatting about it has been enlightening, and our viewers and our listeners are liking it, I can see. So I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out today to spend my show talking about these various different topics that melded so well together. But before we wrap up, I want to give each of you the opportunity to talk about your current initiatives and what bold moves you're making to enhance and uplift the betterment of your community, because I know you're two women that are doing the same thing like I'm doing every day, out there trying to make our community better. So, Jael, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you very much again, Jackie, for the opportunity for allowing me to share Black Island Girl with you. In addition to Black Island Girl, I encourage people to go on and check out the website and also subscribe to the podcast. So the podcast is an extension of the article, and that's blackislandgirl.com. You can, I mean, once blackislandgirl.com. That's simple as that. In addition to that, I also do a monthly video cast called Kakoti with JL Joseph. And that is where I interview entrepreneurs, creatives. And this evening, I will be interviewing Allison Hines, who is the Queen of Soca, as well as Sun Divas out of the UK. So they'll be on the show this evening at 6 p.m. So encourage you guys. You could follow me on all my social media. It's JL Joseph, Jael Joseph, Joseph.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much. And Kimberly, tell us about your current initiatives.
Thank you so much for having me on this show. I've been watching you from afar for a long time, and then just blessed tremendously to be able to connect with you.
Thank
and
you.
meet Jael as well in this format. My True Roots Counseling Services, we, well, primarily, I'm a psychotherapist, and so I do individual, group, and family counseling and family therapy. But on the offside, on the other side of my desk, are the initiatives and things that I do that are really the passion of my heart, specifically right now in Halton. So I'm doing I work with two different organizations. One is called Halton Black Voices, and we're raising awareness of the voices of the Black people within this specific community, and initiated a Halton Black Student Union with the Halton District School Board, which is just, it's a joy to see the youth growing and taking up the fire and the flame. And then the other programs that I work with the Halton Coalition for the Prevention of Hate Crime.
Wow.
And we are specifically working with people who have been have experienced hate crime and hate initiated incidents, and empowering and enabling them to use their voice to execute freedom. And that's a tough nut to crack, but it's a necessary endeavor. And then I'm also doing various podcasts and things. And right now, we're really focusing on Black mental health.
Good.
And we have an upcoming episode called Shattering Shame, where we're really digging into the reasons that within the Black community, we hesitate to reach out for that help when we need it most. So those are the things that touch my heart. And you can find me on social media, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. Kimberly Cato will get you everywhere. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. I love both of you ladies so much. My goodness, you're women after my own heart. And I wish you in Godspeed the ultimate success. Mental health, Black Island girl, you're all that. And I will continue to follow both of you ladies and uplift you wherever I can. Your message is real and it is making waves in our community, and this is what we want to see happen consistently. Thank you so much for joining me on The Ordinary People. Ladies and gentlemen, next week, don't forget, look out for me on the Women of Impact 2021 Leadership Symposium. I will be one of the keynote speakers next week. I'll tell you all about it next week, Saturday. It's next week, Saturday, on GBKM TV, Women of Impact. For those of you who follow me on social media, look me up. You'll hear all and read all about it. And for those of you who like the guests that we had on the show today, hit me up and I'll tell you how to contact them on a personal note. And once again, I just want to thank you for supporting GBKM TV. We're here each and every Saturday on The Ordinary People Show from 12:30 to 1:30. Have a fabulous first day of spring. Cheers.
GBKM TV, the station with a vision. GBKM TV, the station with a difference now. Slim Flex said so. Big up Ghana, up. GBKM TV.
You can officially download our free GBKM app from the App Store and the Google Play Store, okay? Now, what is the best thing about this app? Well, it is that you have all of the features from the website that is portable, in your hand, ready to use and ready to go. Now, I'm just gonna guide you through what we have available on our app right now. So here, this is the page where you can watch our live TV, our GBKM TV. You can watch live, enjoy the shows live. Now, if you go to our tabs, you can check out any shows you missed in the past shows tab, and that takes you to the past shows that have happened in the last week. And if you just scroll down, you can see those past shows in order, chronological order with their